Hello there, you're just in time for NTV Tonight, this 28th day of May. Over 5.8 million people have so far been infected by the coronavirus globally, and 359,658 people have died from it. In Africa, that number of confirmed cases now stands at 128,108 cases, with the death toll standing at 3,746. In the USA, over 1.7 million people have been infected, and the death toll is at 102,643. We'll take a look at Kenya's situation, but first, let's take a look at the headlines. Tonight,
147 people have tested positive.
The number of infections is rising, and the pandemic is taking a toll on healthcare workers.
As at yesterday, that number stands at 54.
Also tonight, desperately ill prepared for the worst.
Tumekuwa na wasiwasi, tumesema na hapa itakuwaje, hapa Turkana kwetu hapa hivi.
The Kakuma refugee camp is a coronavirus disaster in waiting. Plus,
vile saizi mama yuko job juu ya epidemic, so ni ngumu. You sometimes unashindwa hata kutoka nje. Tutatoka kujava but maybe pita watu anze kuchekelea kwa barabara.
The pandemic worsens period pain for young girls and women. And also tonight, the NASA coalition is also spring cleaning.
Kufuata makamu wa rais pia ni hatia.
Who's out and who's in?
I was born. I came out of my mother's womb without any committee.
NTV Tonight with Zeynab Ismail.
Thank you so much for joining us. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Flora Atieno. Now, Kenya continues to set new records of daily infections of the coronavirus, pointing to the alarming rate of community transmission. The Ministry of Health has today confirmed a new daily high of 147 cases. The new cases raise the total number of infections in the country to 1,618. All 147 new patients are Kenyans aged between 1 and 87 years old. 3 more patients have succumbed to the disease, raising the death toll to 58. Nairobi County has recorded the highest number of cases, with 90 people testing positive. Mombasa County has today recorded 41 new infections and Kiambu 3. Nyeri and Uasin Gishu counties have 2 cases each, while Kajiado, Kilifi, Embu, Homa Bay, Murang'a and Machakos all have a case each. In yet another alarming development, Nairobi's Kibera slum has recorded a daily high of 35 new infections, pointing to the risk brought about by overcrowding in informal settlements. Silas Apollo has more.
They have been the first line of defense, but one after the other, healthcare workers are also becoming victims of the virus, a sign of the immensely difficult working condition for medical staffers, who should be among those best protected against infection.
The number of healthcare workers who have tested positive for COVID, as at yesterday, that number stands at 54, which gives you a figure of 3.5%.
The new infections have been blamed on proximity of healthcare workers to patients and sometimes a lack of personal protective equipment.
Of course, the healthcare workers being the first line of defense, by nature of their work as they carry their mandate, then they are usually exposed to the infection. I'm glad to report to you that so far we have not lost any healthcare worker.
That our health workers are the most single important ingredient and factor in combating this disease. We cannot afford to have our health workers infected by the virus.
And it is not just the frontline workers who are concerned. In slums, the cases are also on the rise. Kibera had the highest number of new infections in 24 hours, recording 35 cases. The government is now concerned that the informal settlements could become the new virus epicenters. Concerns that stem from the reasoning that most of these informal settlements suffer from overcrowding and poor sanitation, which inhibit the practice of social distancing and proper hygiene. Of the over 600 positive cases recorded in Nairobi, a bulk have been from the informal settlements of Kibra, Dandora, Kawangware, Kayole and Mathare.
The figures which we have shared illustrate the rapid rate of transmission in the informal settlements of Nairobi. This means that there is a ranging number of infections in these areas. It means that this disease is now within the communities.
The ministry has also expressed concerns over what ripple effects a new spike of infections in these slums could pose to the larger population of Nairobi, as a significant percentage of the capital's population lives in the slums. This group also suffers the harshest effects of socio-economic inequalities, which experts say are the greatest accelerators of the virus.
Hakuna moja wetu ambayo yuko salama. Awe ni yule anauza mboga pale sokoni, ama ni tajiri wa aina gani, hakuna mtu ambaye sasa anaweza kusema ati hii virusi iko mbali sana na yeye.
Today, the ministry continued with the targeted mass testing, focusing on the expansive Langata area, which also reported 15 new infections. But even with the successes of the testing, Kagwe warns that the targets may not be achieved.
The issue of testing, why the testing is low, it is essentially driven by the shortage of reagents that we use on the machines. And at the moment, those reagents are in great demand across the whole world.
For now, the government insists that focus will be on managing the community infections, which experts predict put more people at risk. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Well, the alarming rise in community transmission of the coronavirus is now becoming a cause for concern, especially in informal settings and camps which house large groups of people. In Turkana County's Kakuma camp, residents are now calling for extra vigilance following the confirmation of a virus case on Monday, the first for the northern county. Ngina Kirori reports that the conditions within the camp had, however, not ideal for social distancing and hygiene.
The scorching afternoon sun shines upon the dusty fields of Kakuma refugee camp in Turkana County, illuminating the torrid conditions in this safe haven for those who flee turmoil in their countries of origin. At this water point, children group together to fetch the precious commodity, oblivious of lurking danger. In such camps, it is a tough balance between survival and fending off a deadly virus. On Monday, Turkana County confirmed its first case of COVID-19, an individual who broke containment measures in Nairobi's Eastleigh estate and traveled all the way to this camp.
Mtu amepita counties karibu 6 tukihesabu ndio akapatikana wapi? Kakuma. Hiyo ni point. Amepita county ngapi? 6. Ndio amepita Kiambu, Uasin Gishu, West Pokot, ndio akaingia Turkana na akapita Trans Nzoia na ametoka Nairobi. Hizo ni county ngapi? 6.
In a camp where controlling movement in and out is a tall order and no proper screening measures have been put in place, the risk of foreign individuals ferrying the virus from a river is ever present.
Vile serikali kama ingetambua, ungegundua kitambo kufunga hii barabara ya kuleta refugee kutoka Nairobi, hii mabasi ya Daya imeleta watu hapa kutoka Nairobi, imetuletea magonjwa hapa. So changamoto ile kitu natupa wasiwasi hapa ni barabara yetu.
Beneath the veil of these makeshift tents is a picture of what life is like here. Tens of individuals sheltered in crowded groups, exposing them to the risk of contracting the virus. The county government has moved to contain a possible spread.
Risk areas must not be allowed into Kakuma refugee camp. The camp is already locked. I'll call upon partner agencies and other well-wishers to provide support where they can to support and prevent COVID-19 infections in the county.
Outside the camp, in the Kakuma town center, a sense of anxiety is palpable.
Kwa nini ugonjwa umepatikana Kakuma, eneo la Turkana? Turkana magharibi hiki tumepatikana. Na tunaambiwa ya kuwa serikali yuko. Kazi ya hii serikali ni gani?
Residents now want authorities to step up testing and screening measures here.
Sasa tunaomba serikali ajaribu kabisa iwezavyo
vile anajaribu, ninaona ni afadhali kwa sababu anakagua na kupima. Ipimwe kabisa, mwenye nasafiri apimwe.
Kakuma refugee camp is home to nearly 200,000 people simultaneously fighting an outbreak of cholera alongside the pandemic presently before the world. Gina Kirori, NTV.
Now, the Central Bank of Kenya is calling for the speedy implementation of mitigation measures, including the establishment of the Credit Guarantee Scheme in order to save the country's small and medium enterprises from imminent collapse as the country battles the coronavirus pandemic. Economic growth in the second quarter of the year is expected to drop, but it could peak in the third quarter, as Victor Kiprop reports.
The key role played by micro, small and medium enterprises (MSMEs) in Kenya's economy cannot be overstated. MSMEs account for about 75% of all businesses in Kenya, employ about 70% of the working population, and account for about 25% of the country's gross domestic product (GDP). But 75% of them are now at risk of collapse by the end of June, due to cash flow constraints associated with the coronavirus pandemic.
They're on the ropes. They'll be gone because they don't have any cash to keep the lights on, to pay for even all their things, supplies if they have to get supplies, or even to pay for their own workers.
Over the weekend, President Uhuru Kenyatta unveiled a 53 billion shillings 8-point economic stimulus program that included a 3 billion shillings allocation set aside as seed capital for the SME Credit Guarantee Scheme. Under the proposed scheme, first mooted in 2019, the National Treasury said the fund will offer banks an additional cash for onward lending to small farms at subsidized rates, and also help mitigate risks by absorbing a portion of the losses for loans in the event of default. The CBK governor, however, notes that SMEs urgently need the package and should be spared the long route before implementation.
This is extremely urgent. We cannot do this as business as usual. And I think, unfortunately, even when things are urgent, they end up taking sort of the scenic route in terms of implementation and things like that. And from our perspective, this is the one thing we're insisting on. The time frame has to be as short as possible.
Kenya's economy continues taking a beating from the coronavirus pandemic that has so far seen thousands of businesses shut down and robbed millions of Kenyans their sources of income. According to the Central Bank of Kenya, 273 billion shillings worth of loans were restructured in the last 6 weeks, 102.5 billion shillings of them being household or personal loans, indicating the strain in which the pandemic continues to have on household and business cash flows.
The next month, things will remain the way they are, and then after June, in July, the economy will begin to recover gradually. We are not looking at a V recovery. We are looking at a sort of a smoother, more gentle recovery.
On Wednesday, the central bank retained the benchmark lending rate at 7%, judging that the policy measures adopted in March and April were having the intended effect on the economy. Economic growth this year is expected at 2.3%, down from 5.4% last year, but analysts warn that things could get even worse. Victor Kiprop, NTV.
Now, e-learning is quickly gaining traction as the country mitigates the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. But what happens at the end of the learning? The exams, which mark the end of an education cycle, are now being administered virtually too. NTV's Brenda Wanga examines how this works while maintaining the integrity of the tests.
The shift has been sudden and swift, out to the old and in with the new.
We are used to exams happening in a physical room.
But that physical room is now almost literally a thing of the past. At the tail end of the semester, conducted online in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is time to test the students. Here at the University of Nairobi, that tests will take place virtually.
We have spent the last 1 month preparing for them, doing rehearsals, training our students and training our faculty. And I'm fairly confident that those exams will take place.
The exam rooms are now spread far and wide, with each student logging in from their various locations. While they may not be bundled together in one physical space for ease of monitoring, the university has still ensured that the integrity of the exams is preserved.
So there are going to be a total of 3 invigilators online, ensuring that the exams are credible and that the students are doing what is required of them.
We are actually looking at them, invigilating them online, one by one. We have Google Grid, looking at the students, both the invigilator, myself, the exam coordinator, and the director, all looking at the students on what they're doing. So we are sure that it is credibly being carried out.
The technology, still new here, has come with its challenges.
But we've added our students 1 extra hour. So while exams take 3 hours, we've given them an extra hour to deal with challenges of connectivity, but also deal with challenges of slow typing speed.
Brenda Wanga, NTV. All right, and at this point, we're taking a very short break here on NTV tonight. But before that, we will be back with what is happening in the country as well in terms of the mass transport. And the public transport sector has been pointed out as a possible high risk in the transmission of the coronavirus due to the conditions in the various modes of transport. While most matatu operators have implemented social distancing and hygiene guidelines, some have yet to allowing passengers to board without necessary checks and measures. Ruth Samoe has more.
The long, meandering queues in some of Nairobi's busy bus stations indicate that curfew is around the corner. Many desperately jostle for space in matatus to catch a ride home in time to avoid the wrath of the law. But these circumstances are barely ideal for social distancing and respiratory hygiene, exposing many to the risk of contracting the virus should there be a positive case among them.
Approximately 50% of Nairobi residents depend on public transport. This is according to Deloitte Insights. The sector has, however, been seen as a weak link in the transmission of the virus, with many loopholes experienced in the sector.
As you can see, some of the highest infections come from areas where public transport is the primary means of transportation. Yet, we have noticed that many have reverted back to their old ways of travel, disregarding social distancing rules and not obeying masking guidelines.
Matatu operators are, however, absolving themselves from the blame.
Mutai Kagwe akisema drivers and conductors wanaeneza COVID-19 kwa njia kubwa, lakini tunazingatia maagizo ya ministry na serikali. In fact, abiria hakuna mtu nakubali aingie kwa gari bila kuosha mikono na sabuni. That's mandatory.
But a spot check across some of the bus stations paint a different picture. Here, we find passengers walking into the matatus without provision of sanitizers or temperature checks. In the streets, some walk and mingle, either without their masks or, for some, masks worn inappropriately.
Corona iko na corona haichagui, lazima tusaidiane sisi zote kuweza kuzuia. Kwa sasa maana hakuna dawa, ni kuzuia, si kuponya, lakini ni kuzuia. Kinga ya shinda tiba.
The government has imposed a reduced capacity guideline for matatu operators, a move aimed at reducing the risk of transmission as a result of crowding. Ruth Sarmui, NTV.
Let's now take a look at stories making headlines in the political scene. And the National Super Alliance, taking cue from the ruling party, has started on a cleanup of its own house. Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa, an ally of the Deputy President, faces expulsion from the influential Parliamentary Service Commission, with Likoni Member of Parliament Mishi Mboko poised to take over. Kiminini MP Chris Wamalo has also been replaced by Tongaren MP Eseli Simiyu as Deputy Whip.
And as our NTV's senior political reporter Kennedy Mureithi tells us, the changes have ticked off a new round of wrangling within the NASA coalition, as ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi says consultations were not done.
The last time the NASA coalition was in the news, it was embroiled in a bitter fallout between its principals after President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga pledged to work together, leaving the other coalition partners in the cold. But today, bolstered by the prospects of a working relationship with the ruling party, the coalition held its first parliamentary group meeting.
This is the best attended parliamentary group meeting we have ever had since the elections of August 8th. 2017.
The coalition is working towards ridding its membership of DP William Ruto's allies as it whips those still true to the cause to a new dispensation that will see President Kenyatta and Raila's agenda sail through in Parliament.
You are aware BBI task force is just about to conclude its work, and these members have been whipped to work very closely with the leadership of the coalition in Parliament to make sure that the agenda of BBI is pushed forward.
The meeting had 3 items on the agenda, which all revolved around disciplining errant members allied to DP Ruto.
Kukosea chama ni hatia, na kufuata makamu wa rais pia ni hatia. Zote mbili ni hatia. Sasa unafuata Ruto na wewe au.
On its chopping board were 10 MPs, including the Deputy Minority Whip Chris Wamalwa, who has now been replaced by another member from Trans Nzoia County, Tongaren's Simiu. At the Parliamentary Service Commission, the coalition has vowed to get rid of Malindi MP Aisha Jumwa, who is accused of continuously flirting politically with DP Ruto, and replaced her with Likoni MP Mishimboko.
These are the members who voted for Aisha Jumwa to be a commissioner. These same members have said they don't want her to be a commissioner. Then the process of removing her has started today, and it is going to end very soon.
Silvanus Osoro has been removed from the Agriculture Committee, Nakara Lodepe from the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee, Catherine Wambilianga from the Labour Committee, Tindi Mwale from the Energy Committee, David Ochieng from the Health Committee, Vincent Kemosi from the Roads and Transport Committee, Paul Katana from the Public Investments Committee, and Badi Twalib from the Budget and Appropriations Committee.
I was elected without committees, and members of Butere voted for me without committees. I was born, I came out of my mother's womb without any committee. And therefore ODM should keep their committee, give it to their busybodies. I'm no longer interested in any committee from them. No longer interested. They should not even try and even copy me to communications.
Mimi nampongeza sana Junet Mohamed kwa kazi yake kwa sababu ametekeleza article 176. Na leo uzuri moja nimemwambia hapo, akacheka, akanambia Mheshimiwa Badi kuja ofisini, lakini namwambia Junet, umefanya kazi yako na wala haina haja ikiwa mahali umefanya kazi yako pia ubembelezwe sana juu ya njia nyingine zozote zile.
Kukosea chama ni hatia, na kufuata makamu wa rais pia ni hatia. Zote mbili ni hatia.
Sasa unafuata Ruto na wewe au.
Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi and his Ford Kenya counterpart Moses Wetangula are said to be unhappy with the changes as they accuse ODM of bulldozing changes without due consultations.
You can see there is the deputy party leader of Ford Kenya here. There is the secretary general of Ford Kenya. We have organizing secretary of White.
Which Ford Kenya are you looking for?
And Wamunyinyi is here. Which Ford Kenya?
Ford Kenya are you looking
for? Which
other
party?
Which Ford Kenya?
And we were with Ayub Savula.
Ayub Savula was here.
Also so all of them are here. Anyway, Osot is the secretary of ANC.
Which ones are you looking for?
So who are you looking for?
The process of ejecting Jumwa starts Tuesday when the National Assembly resumes from recess. The coalition leaders now say they will expedite it now that they have the numbers. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV.
All right, and on that note, we take a break here on NTV tonight. We still have a lot more we've lined up for you. Stay with us.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIC, and Harpic.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night. What comes to your mind when you think of the perfect home for your family? Is it the beauty, the comfort, the security, the convenience, or even the affordability? Victory Gardens offers exactly that and much more. It is just 10 minutes drive from Kitengela town and 3.8 kilometers off the tarmac. This gated community project comes with solar street lighting, Maram roads, beautiful trees, 24-hour security, and water connected to every plot. The best part is, families are already living here. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Optiven Limited, the pacesetters in real estate.
Birthday party.
Birthday party. Birthday party.
Birthday party.
Are we not invited?
We have gifts.
Malaria.
Mommy, pest.
Rat.
Oh, die.
Party.
Compared to an ordinary spray, Mortein Doom Power Guard kills disease-causing pests instantly. Mortein Doom Power Guard.
Nyaji wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water, apply a small amount of soap, rub palms together, rub fingers and thumbs and the beads in between, rub nails on palms, rub the back of each hand, rinse with clean running water, and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching NTV Tonight. Now, some 40 senior military officers from Kenya and other countries across Africa have today graduated from the Kenya Defence College with senior training on security and national defence. The graduation of the National Defence College was one of the many witnessed at the institution and included officers from the military, the National Intelligence Service and other state corporations. Defence Cabinet Secretary Monica Juma says the training has prepared prepared them for the challenges witnessed in Kenya and the region, especially those by extremist groups. The cohort includes officers from the Kenya Army, the Kenya Air Force, the Kenya Navy, National Police Service, the Kenya Forest Service, Kenya Prisons and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The graduates underwent a 48 weeks training at the college located in Karen in Nairobi.
The commandant's brief this morning, I am persuaded that we have a cohort of strategic leaders that will forge a common vision for a continent and world whose destiny is inextricably linked. I have no doubt that a united, peaceful, prosperous Africa is within reach. But this can only be achieved when we act in concert, when we are driven by a shared worldview. And that is the essence of the experience we have gone through at the National Defense College.
Now, access to sanitary towels still remain a critical challenge for many young girls in the country, and especially now due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, research by the Menstrual Hygiene Day, a global advocacy platform for non-profit organizations and government agencies, show that 65% of women and girls in Kenya are unable to afford sanitary pads. This means that out of approximately 5 million girls aged between 10 and 19, 2.6 million of them require support to obtain the menstrual hygiene materials. Now, only 1 out of 2 girls say that they openly discuss menstruation at home, and just 32% of rural schools have a private place for girls to change their menstrual product, which means 68% of young girls in schools do not get the privacy they need during that time of the month. Interestingly, only 12% of girls in Kenya would be comfortable receiving the information from their own mothers. And there are also more jarring statistics signaling the menstruation is tied to more fundamental risks and issues of gender inequity, with studies showing 2 out of 3 of pad users in rural Kenya receive them from sexual partners, with 10% of 15-year-olds engaging in sex for money to buy pads, and 1 in 4 girls do not associate menstruation with pregnancy. Girls and women also face serious complications which are related to menstrual health, which include endometriosis, uterine fibroids, menorrhagia, which is a medical term for abnormally heavy or prolonged bleeding during menstruation, premenstrual syndrome or PMS, and premenstrual dysphoric disorder or PMDD. Now, this year's Menstrual Hygiene Day theme came as no surprise to anyone, seeing as the whole world is dealing with a pandemic. Now, dubbed Periods in a Pandemic, this year's theme chose to highlight how the difficulties faced during menstruation have worsened during the pandemic. And even as the world today has marked the Global Menstrual Health Day with startling revelations on the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on access to sanitary towels among women across the country, more so in informal settlements. In response, the Ministry of Health has launched a national menstrual health management policy that will ensure women and girls have access to safe and hygienic products. Our health reporter Eunice Somolo has more.
Lydia Mbithe, a Form 4 student and a resident of Mukuru Kwa Ruben, takes us through the nooks and crannies of one of the capital's sprawling settlements to her home. It's been 3 months since school suddenly shut due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Our home size unajua ni kadiri tunagojea exam. Sometimes it's a bit more boring.
But this is the list of her worries.
They could bring us the sanitary pads, but not all the time. So Temonya metuletea tunge appreciate you most of them. Unajua sometimes them are commences yani inakuanga uncomfortable wezi enda shule kama hujavaa pads.
The Basic Education Amendment Act of 2017 stipulates that the government provides free, sufficient and quality sanitary towels to every girl registered and enrolled in a public basic education institution and who has reached puberty. Since then, the government allocated 470 million Kenya shillings to the program between 2017 and 2019, but an estimated 3 million girls are still missing out on the program.
I have one of my friends, she's actually, I can't tell you. So, sometimes she just comes and yambia, Lydia, just help me. Jumi siko sure kama kesho ndakuja shule, I'm on my menses. So, I just wonder what can I do for these friends For me, I'm not that stable, so I just do the favor of let me ask my mom if she can buy for me, then I bring it to her.
But the pandemic has worsened the pain of the period for many girls. And with schools closed, many more are missing out on these essentials given out for free to manage their menses. The lack of access to sanitary products, price hikes, and worsened stigma while managing periods add on to the stress that women and girls are facing in the age of the coronavirus.
Sasa vile saizi mama yuko job juu ya epidemic, so unakuja na kuambia mimi msichana wangu mimi sina pesa, na uwezi mforce kama ana pesa, you understand the situation vile tuko, so inakuwa ngumu, inakuwa hata unawish si tungekuwa kutu shule tungeletewa.
For many women, this monthly cycle already comes with its own set of troubles. Alice Rinjiro, a 17-year-old from Kibra, knows this all too well.
Wakati naenda menstruation, unasikia ni kama mood yako haiko hapo, umeboeka, unataka tu ukae peke yako, umeboeka tu uko moodless. Ukiwa shule, unasikia umeboeka, hata mwalimu akiwa class, umeboeka tu. Yeah.
The stigma is worse for younger girls.
Kuna wakati mwingine ukiwa shule, unaambiwa wewe umekuwa mkubwa, vitu kama hizo sasa tujaipitia, lakini wewe unapitia. Na pia kuna wale watasema hii ni hali.
Studies show that 1 out of 10 girls in primary school get their first period while younger than 11 years old. 54% of girls who went through early onset of periods experienced diminished academic performance compared to those with normal menarche age. Studies also show that only 12% of girls are comfortable having discussions on menstrual health with their mothers. The realities are more grim for persons living with disability. 41-year-old Patricia Mulongo, who lives with a hearing disability, knows too well the challenges faced by persons living with disability.
People with wheelchair, an example of that. Maybe they want to use a public toilet. If a person with a wheelchair has to go to the toilet, being able to access that toilet and it's so dirty becomes a problem. And the doors are pretty small.
Water, sanitation and hygiene is a key component in maintaining menstrual hygiene among girls.
There's a big problem. Juu story ya maji. Unajua this area sometimes you lack water. Na time unapata maji inauzwa 10 bob mtungi. Una expectiwa uoshe mikono kila time. Weka dem kama kwa your menses lazima uoge, lazima take shower twice or thrice a day. So vile hakuna maji, unatumia maji ya mama na kuuliza, unajua mtungi ni 10 bob. Haribu maji utajua ujui na kuna maji. Utafanya nini? So it's a big challenging dem hadi anashindwa kutoka nje. Utatoka nje ukinuka. So inabidi ukae nyumba. Kuna otherwise.
So what the ministry is doing is to ensure that wash interventions, specifically for menstrual hygiene management, are incorporated into the other wash interventions for COVID-19 prevention. And this is to mean that we continue, first of all, giving the right information, because the girls, especially the school girls, they have been getting the information about menstruation from school. But now they are no longer getting it from schools.
Some of those who can ill afford the sanitary towel are sometimes lured into transactional sex in exchange for the sanitary towels.
We normally get calls from the parents, which means that they are not okay, because the slum life is just life in the jungle. There's man for himself and God for us all.
Susan Wavinya Wairimo, who was impregnated at the age of 17, knows these all too well.
I felt and I understood what it feels to be in that situation. Affording that packet of sanitary towel becomes a problem.
She has since started a campaign to mobilize well-wishers through social media to donate sanitary items, which she then distributes to the young mothers and teenage girls.
The government, as they have been reducing the tax on other food items, I would really urge that the price of this sanitary pads is subsidized or removed at all, or removed completely in this COVID-19 response, so that these girls and women can access these materials and they can live a dignified life.
Government policy on menstrual health is also expected to take into account the persons living with disability and the various cultural aspects in the management of menstrual health. As the world and the country is locked down due to the pandemic, it is the hope of millions of young girls that their menstrual health rights are not locked out. Eunice Omolo, NTV.
And it's certainly a conversation we should continue having, menstrual health, even despite the pandemic that we're in. Well, in Uhuru's State House, a goose is cooking. Don't let your ambition of tomorrow cloud what you must do today, because what you do today is what shall determine where you shall be tomorrow, says President Kenyatta. Read this and more in tomorrow's Daily Nation, and don't miss your copy. It's time for another short break here on NTV tonight, but before that, you know how humans are desperate for connection in light of the pandemic? Well, a restaurant owner in Paris has devised a way for clients to enjoy a date without risking each other's lives. The restaurant has installed a type of plexiglass bell to separate customers and combat coronavirus. Basically, the glass bell covers the upper body, thereby reducing any chances of transmission of particles during conversation. France is due to unveil the conditions for the reopening of bars and restaurants located in the green zone. Stay with us.
Dettol's main objective is to help children protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold?
No!
They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap that gives the best germ protection ever against many illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
John suffers from indigestion. His twin James suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
What comes to your mind when you think of the perfect home for your family? Is it the beauty, the comfort, the security, the convenience, or even the affordability? Victory Gardens offers exactly that and much more. It is just 10 minutes drive from Kitengela town and 3.8 kilometers off the tarmac. This gated community project comes with solar street lighting, Maram roads, beautiful trees, 24-hour security, and water connected to every plot. The best part is, families are already living here. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Optiven Limited, the pacesetters in real estate.
All you have to do is come up with a nice idea, develop it into a nice story, and not just any story, but a story that showcases the ideals, beauty, and diversity of Kenya. Get your mobile phone and shoot a short film and stand a chance to win up to Kenya shillings 500,000 worth of prizes. To participate, you need to be a Kenyan citizen, have a smartphone that can shoot video in HD, be between the ages of 18 to 35 years old, shoot a film not longer than 5 minutes. The film should be in English, but if you must use any other language, please use subtitles in your film.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. Panadol Extra, now with new Optizorb technology, to fight multiple tough pains, with 3 times more pain-relieving medicine in the first 30 minutes when you need it most. Seeing them support themselves makes any pain worth it. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Tomorrow we'll be looking at what you're reading. So join us tomorrow, share what you're reading, what you're hoping to read, what you're writing as well. That's our show tomorrow. Remember, we always start with a workout at 6:30 a.m. in the morning to keep you fitty before we go into the discussions at 7 a.m.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take a look at business news. And the Central Bank of Kenya Governor Patrick Njoroge has reiterated on the need for regulation of digital lending platforms in the country, especially during the COVID-19 period when many households are hard-pressed for cash. The lenders which flooded the Kenyan financial markets have been on the spot for saddling borrowers with high interest and misusing the credit information sharing mechanisms. Victor Kiprop reports.
In this morning's press conference, the governor continued his criticism of the online and mobile lenders, who he has previously described as exploitative and crazy, insisting that they have to be regulated.
I think the point here is that it's never too early to do the right thing, and we need to do the right thing. We know what the right thing is, so this is what we intend to do. Now, obviously people are more desperate, we know that. And that's why it is even more urgent to do the right thing, so that you don't add more pain to those people at this moment in.
Having been sidelined by the mainstream lenders, especially after the introduction of the interest rates cap in 2016, digital or mobile-based lenders have come in handy for many Kenyans, offering short-term loans within minutes. The CBK, however, maintains that the digital lenders' role in bridging the financial gap in the country is minuscule when compared to the misery that it has brought upon borrowers, some of whom have even committed suicide due to their rogue modus operandi, especially in cases of default.
We have more than 100 of these online credit. I mean, they are like mushrooms everywhere. But I think the point is that in terms of the volume of credit, how much they've actually put out, they are just a fraction of even they are a fraction of the smallest bank that we have. But in terms of noise and pain, whoa, they are at 90%.
Critics have often argued that regulation traditionally lags behind innovation, and that Njoroge's tough stance against the digital credit providers would stifle innovation. Njoroge is however adamant that the lenders, most of which are foreign, should submit to regulation or ship out.
Those of us that believe that innovation should be given unfettered chance to, free run of anything they want, I think they probably need to go to somewhere else, because that's not the planet we live in.
The CBK has already barred unregulated digital mobile lenders from forwarding the names of loan defaulters to the Credit Reference Bureau CRBs, and stopped blacklisting borrowers owing less than 1,000 shillings, even as it develops regulation for the digital lending sector. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Now, Equity Bank Group has registered a 5.3 billion shillings profit in the first 3 months this year, a 14% decline from the 6.2 billion shillings recorded in a similar period last year. The drop in the lender's earnings is attributed to an increase in loan loss provisions to 3.1 billion shillings, up from just 409 million shillings last year due to the impact of the COVID-19. Early this week, the bank cancelled its proposed dividend payout of 9.4 billion shillings, citing the need to conserve cash in the wake of the pandemic. Meanwhile, as Kenya continues battling the coronavirus pandemic, the hospitality industry, like many other sectors of the economy, continues taking a beating from the effects of the pandemic, with many hotels closing shop due to lack of clients. The latest to be hit by the pandemic is the Fairmont group of hotels, which has closed down its Fairmont the Norfolk and Fairmont Mara Safari Club branches and fired all the staff. The suspension of the international and local flights, as well as other COVID-19 measures in Kenya, including the dusk to dawn curfew and the cessation of movement into and out of some counties, have brought nearly all travel and tourism activities in the country into a standstill. All smartphone users in the country will now be able to access digital copies of the Daily Nation, the Standard Nation, Sunday Nation and the Business Daily at just 20 shillings per issue. This follows a partnership between media houses and mobile telephony company Safaricom, which will see the price deducted from the customer's airtime to enable faster access to news, with each issue purchased available for 7 days. The 20 shilling price includes a data package, implying consumers' data bundles will not be consumed when reading the digital paper. Nation Media Group Chief Executive Officer Stephen Gitagama says the partnership is in line with Nation Media Group's strategy of leveraging digital platforms to ease access to information at affordable rates. Safaricom Chief Executive Officer Peter Ndegwa says the partnership enables consumers to optimize on their smartphones in their search for authoritative information. Consumers can access this service through dialing *550# or visiting the website safaricom.com and selecting the Discover tab. Let's now visit a story we covered earlier. A Central Bank of Kenya survey reveals that about 75% of Kenya's small and medium-sized businesses face collapse if they fail to get fresh funds from banks or equity partners by end of next month. Now, for an in-depth analysis of the survey, do get your copy of the Business Daily tomorrow. Well, time for another breather here on NTV tonight, but first, a zoo in the Indonesian holiday island of Bali has named a baby giraffe Corona in honor of her birth during the global pandemic. A video released by the zoo showed the calf being born in a small enclosure. Bali Safari Park has been closed to visitors since late March as part of efforts to spread the coronavirus infections.
The Kenya Film Commission, in partnership with Techno Mobile, CDI Gadgets, Documentary and Reality TV, has rolled out the 3rd edition of the Mobile Phone Film Competition. It is a competition for short films shot using exclusively mobile phones.
To participate, you need to be a Kenyan citizen, have a smartphone that can shoot video in HD, be between the ages of 18 to 35 years old, shoot a film not longer than 5 minutes. The film should be in English, but if you must use any other language, please use subtitles in your film.
Can you tell Kinyanjui to come to my office immediately? Good morning. Good morning. Mimi sipendi unapanguza floor. Hiyo dust uache hapa kwa meza. Clean up. Kinyanjui, this is a problem, eh? Next time uende ununue selector yako, utengeneze sandwich zako, uachane na sandwich za boss.
Selector. The difference is in the taste.
Hii uende weke kwa ile githeri yako, eh?
Welcome to the conferencing service.
Emma, carry on, Ken.
First quarter sales, they are up 90%.
Very good, very good.
We are looking at a 55 billion shilling profit by the end of the financial year.
Now we are talking. Here we talk billions. Very good. I gotta go. Wacha niendelee na kazi.
A person has left the conference.
Niko nyumbani. Downloads are very fast. Streaming, eco. And I'm just working from here. Stay connected and work from the convenience of wherever you are. Fiber to the home.
Working from home? No problem. Fiber Home has you covered with the fastest and most reliable internet speeds. Get connected today. Kazi lazima iendelee.
Selena!
Toto, where's mommy?
Today's a toilet day.
What? Oh.
Selena!
Toilet day?
Tomorrow we're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation.
It's a toilet, not a white shirt. Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with bleach and detergent, still won't be party ready.
Impossible.
Challenge. Harpic 10X. Even if you use bleach and detergent 10 times, they won't give you the same sparkling clean toilet that Harpic 10X will give you.
Wow!
Harpic 10X. Harpic, Kenya's #1 toilet cleaner.
Do your gums hurt?
Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Melissa? Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I'm giving him a party just like he gives me.
Nothing makes a mother more proud than seeing her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to care for others, she'll face even more germs and the risk of illnesses.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection. Just 1 cup of Dettol protects your home and family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
The Kenya Film Commission, in line with its mandate and function of promoting development of local content and establishing a film fund, has established a film empowerment program that will provide film and video-related funding. The Commission announces the funding application for the 2019-2020 financial year. Individuals, companies and organizations will be required to submit funding applications to the Commission. The submissions kicked off on the 28th of April and will run through to the 9th of June 2020. To register, visit www.kenyafilmcommission.com. Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya. Capture Africa.
We're glad you could stay with us. You're watching NTV Tonight. Let's now have a look at news making headlines across the borders. Now, Rwanda genocide suspect Felicien Kabuga has challenged an application to extradite him in a France court. His close relatives turned up for his appearance before the Paris Court of Appeal for hearing to examine the validity of the arrest warrant issued by the mechanism of the International Criminal Tribunal. The 84-year-old Kabuga was on the run for 26 years as a fugitive, was arrested on 16th of May this year. He is facing 11 counts of crimes committed against the Tutsi of Rwanda in the infamous 1994 massacre. Now, thousands of people are struggling to survive in South Africa, unable to earn a living under the strict lockdown rules aimed at preventing the spread of coronavirus. But some help has come from an unexpected source. Game farmers who are left with surplus meat after culling their animals. The charity pickup truck rolled into a rural Southern African township laden with an unusual prized gift of more than 50 kilograms of fresh venison and, of course, the usual boxes of bread, loaves and assorted vegetables. Faced with growing demands for food donations, local supermarket owner Piet started processing culled wild animals in his butchery for those in need. The antelope had been shot a few days prior to game farmers whose tourist lodges were shuttered at the start of the coronavirus lockdown in March. Elsewhere in the United States, the hardest hit nation in the world, President Donald Trump is still weathering heavy criticism for his handling of the crisis and for not wearing a mask in public, despite his administration's recommendations. Critics have now put up a sign in New York's Times Square showing an estimate of the number of deaths from the novel coronavirus that could have been avoided if mitigation measures had been implemented earlier by the Trump administration. The United States has now recorded more than 100,000 COVID-19 related deaths. All right, now we're going to the break with a remarkable expression of talent. Australian professional cyclist Fabio Wilmer is taking the no-touching rule to new heights by employing a creative way of taking out the trash. Take a look.
The Kenya Film Commission, in line with its mandate and function of promoting development of local content and establishing a film fund, has established a film empowerment program that will provide film and video-related funding. Individuals, companies and organizations will be required to submit funding applications to the Commission. To register, visit www.kenyafilmcommission.com. Take the following basic protective measures as guided by the WHO. Clean hands frequently with soap and water. Cover nose and mouth when coughing and sneezing with a tissue or flexed elbow. Avoid close contact with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms. Seek medical care if you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing. And avoid raw and uncooked animal products. Help the world put an end to the spread of respiratory diseases. Message brought to you by Detrex Germ Protection Soap.
Change your baby's diaper often and as soon as possible after bowel movements. Gently clean the area with mild soap and water or baby wipes. Have a clean diaper. Use diaper ointment to prevent diaper burn, diaper wipes or a container of warm water and a clean washcloth or cotton balls.
Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Bye diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
What comes to your mind when you think of the perfect home for your family? Is it the beauty, the comfort, the security, the convenience, or even the affordability? Victory Gardens offers exactly that and much more. It is just 10 minutes drive from Kitengela town and 3.8 kilometers off the tarmac. This gated community project comes with solar street lighting, Maram roads, beautiful trees, 24-hour security, and water connected to every plot. The best part is, families are already living here. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Optiven Limited, the pay-saters in real estate.
Shop online and pay with your Visa card securely for groceries and other essentials, e-learning subscriptions, online entertainment subscriptions, as well as all other bills online. With Visa, you can make payments online using your Visa card in 3 easy steps. Simply go to the checkout page, select Visa card, enter your card information, and your purchase is securely completed. Safe is smart. Visa, everywhere you want to be. Terms and conditions apply.
Basic protective measures as guided by the World Health Organization. Clean hands frequently with soap and clean water. Cover nose and mouth when coughing and sneezing with a tissue or flexed elbow. Avoid close contact 1 meter or 3 feet with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms. If you have fever, cough and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Avoid raw or uncooked animal products. Help the world put an end to the spread of respiratory diseases by sharing this message with a friend. Message brought to you by Sour Herbal Family Bath Soap.
Tomorrow we'll be looking at what you're reading. So join us tomorrow, share what you're reading, what you're hoping to read, what you're writing as well. That's our show tomorrow. Remember, we always start with a workout at 6:30 a.m. in the morning to keep you fitty before we go into the discussions at 7 a.m.
Kenya Association of Manufacturers is celebrating 60 years since its existence. It was set up as a business membership organization that represents the manufacturing sector in Kenya.
And it was actually the initiative of the Ministry of Energy.
We've invested in a wastewater treatment plant, which now reduces our municipal water intake by 70%.
Consider energy to be very crucial for socio-economic development of the country.
Over the 15 years we have held the Energy Management Awards, we have realized a saving of 15 billion. Manufacturers have been able to save and put in some of that money into better production.
Let's have a look at the day's sports news. Welcome, my name is Brian Otwal. The Sports Dispute Tribunal has dismissed an application by Milton Nyakundi and other interested parties that sought to have the Federation's bank accounts frozen, assets and properties safeguarded until elections are held. On March 17th, SDT had ruled that the FKF National Executive Council term in office had ended, and thereafter Nyakundi filed an application seeking orders to freeze FKF bank accounts and all its assets and properties protected, arguing that they were in danger of vandalism due to the vacuum. Another application filed by interested parties had argued that the NEC and FKF President Nick Mwendwa were in contempt of court as they continued to operate and work for FKF despite the earlier ruling that Ohaga dismissed it as well. The ruling was delivered via Zoom by SDT chairperson John Ohaga. And Arsenal will take on Manchester City as Aston Villa face Sheffield United in the first matches scheduled as the Premier League season has been confirmed to restart on June 17th. The matches are 2 games in hand, and a full fixture list will then be played on the weekend of 19th to 21st of June. But it is understood that all have agreed in principle at this stage, that is after that meeting. Meanwhile, Watford captain Troy Deeney will return to training after holding positive talks with the government's Deputy Chief Medical Officer. Deeney refused to go back to work when the Premier League launched Project Restart, explaining his primary concern is the health of his son, who was born prematurely and has been having breathing problems, but will now rejoin his teammates next week. This even as 4 more people at 3 Premier League clubs tested positive for coronavirus following the latest round of tests. Meanwhile, Serie A will learn the fate of the Italian season on Thursday with a government decision due on whether football can resume after a 3-month absence in a country hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic. After the COVID-19 pandemic caused several athletics events to be postponed all over the world, many athletes turned to various activities in a bid to fend for themselves. Upcoming athlete Samson Mwaura, who competes in 10,000 meters and marathon as well, has turned to music for a living in this difficult period of coronavirus.
Kwa majina naitwa Samson Mwaura, lakini kimazoezi naitwa Kohola. Mbio nilianza 28, nilianzia na 10,000 nikaenda mpaka marathon.
Nini ilifanya ukaingia kwa muziki?
Ni vile niliona venye situation iko, kuliko nikaa hivyo, nitafuta tu another career jiku niko nayo, ni poa niko kwa hiyo system. Nikikopa teamwork, sasa huwezi enda na teamwork. Sasa unafanya individual, sometimes unasikia umeboeka, sometimes wengine wanalala, unaona? Juu umezoea kuenda in a group.
Training kama tunavyojua, tuna train asubuhi, mchana yote unakuwa free. So mambo ya music unaweza fanya.
Alafu si vizuri kuangalia pande moja sana. Juu tukiangalia mtu kama Rudisha wakati alipata injury, unaona sasa kama una depend kwa kitu moja utaumia. Sasa ni vizuri saa zingine kuwa unafanya vitu tofauti.
Talanta kama hii ya uibaji pia ningependa kuhimiza wale wakimbiaji pale chini wako na talanta kama hizo mazingine kama hizo, wasikufe moyo, bali wazidi kuzikuza na wazidi kuzieneza, kwa sababu huwezi jua kesho itakuwa namna gani.
All the best to him there. Moving on, IOC President Thomas Bach held a series of talks with the International Olympic Committee members on the potential consequences of the coronavirus pandemic that has seen the Tokyo Games pushed back a year to 2021. Bach was to address the 100 IOC members in 3 different sessions, aiming at canvassing the members for their view on how to handle the consequences of the coronavirus pandemic, back warning that the 2021 was the last option for holding the delayed Tokyo Games, stressing postponement cannot go on forever. The IOC has already set aside $800 million to help organizers and sports federations meet the extra costs of a postponed Olympics. According to the latest budget, the Games were due to cost $12.6 billion, shared between the organizing committee, the government of Japan, and Tokyo City.
Started her sports career at age 12 and had already become her coach, Tasos Kotakakis.
And the late Kobe Bryant's induction into America's Basketball Hall of Fame has been postponed to 2021. Bryant, who died along with 8 others in a helicopter crash in January, was scheduled to be inducted into Massachusetts-based Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame on August 29th. Former NBA stars Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and 6 others are also slated to be enshrined next year due to the ongoing global coronavirus pandemic. Bryant died in January 26th at age 41 years in a helicopter crash in Calabasas, California, that also claimed the life of his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, and 7 others. Bryant was an 18-time NBA All-Star, 5-time NBA champion, and 3-time NBA Finals MVP in a 2-decade career with the Los Angeles Lakers. That's all we had for you now. Sports Desk, have a lovely night. My name is Brian Otual. Back to you, Zeynab.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. That definitely brings us to the end of our bulletin this hour. Many thanks for watching. Our sign language interpreter this evening was Flora Atieno. My name is Zeynab Ismail. Do have yourself a lovely evening and stay safe.